ball 120 meters off from the ground with 50 meters per second. If you assume that the ball's height after t seconds of dropping from the sky as hm and it satisfies the equation h is equal to negative 5t squared plus 15t plus 120 when it's the time that the ball reaches the ground. They said there is an equation to satisfy this time, which will going to be h, which is the height, is equal to negative 5t squared plus 15t plus 120. So height is going to be equal to negative 5t squared plus 50t plus 120. And we are dropping the ball from 100 meter 20 off from the ground with 50 meters per second. But the most important thing is that if we kind of let the ball height after t seconds of dropping into hm, it satisfies this equation, and when is the ball reaches the ground, and this is a height of the ball, and when the ball reaches the ground, so when the ball is flowing and when it reaches the ground, the height of the ball between the sky and the ground will going to be 0. So the height will going to be 0 when ball reaches the ground. So all I have to do is input the value of h into our original equation as an output of our function. So it will going to be h is equal to negative 5t squared plus 50t plus 120, but instead of h we input the value of 0. We need to remember that for the time should always be a positive value. And from here we got 0 is equal to negative 5t squared plus 50t plus 120. And in order to find the value of this one, all we have to do is extend this into a binomial. So extend this into a binomial. If you extend this into a binomial, it will going to be negative 5t squared plus 50t plus 120. And if the leading coefficient is not equal to 1, it's hard to calculate it, but every terms here are divisible by 5. So we can divide whole terms by 5, but we can divide it into a negative 5. And since we divided negative 5 to the left side, we also need to divide negative 5 to the right side so that we keep the equal to continue and keep the same equation. Negative 5t squared divided by negative 5 will going to be t squared. 50t divided by negative 5 will going to give us negative 10t. 100 plus 120 divided by negative 5 will going to give us negative and then 24. And that is equal to 0 divided by 4. 5 will still going to give us 0. And we can use our binomial theory in order to convert this into the binomial. At first, we put a 2 parentheses as a step of the binomial theorem. And then there should be, if we divide t and t squared into t times t, which makes t squared if we multiply it again. And for the number as a number possibility, the unknown quantity as unknown variable that I'm pointing out. If we add it together, so if we call it A and then B, if we add A and then B, it should give us negative 24 according to the binomial theory. And if we multiply it, and if we added A plus B, it should going to give us a negative 10 according to the binomial theory. So at first, in order to find the value of A and B, we need to at first look for the factor of 24 in order to find the value of A and B. But it's negative 24, which means one of them should be a negative. And so let's think about at first 1 times negative 24, and there is 2 times negative 12, and there is 3 times 8, and there is lastly 4 times negative 6. But if we add it, it should give us a negative 10. So if we add 1 and then negative 24, it gives us negative 23, which is not equal to negative 10. If we add 2 and a negative 12, it will going to give us a negative 10, which satisfies our term. So our factor of negative 24 that satisfy our second equation 2 will going to give us 2 and then negative 12. So it is 2 and then negative 12. And for the we can plug our 2 and negative 12 in an order in our binomial, and that should be equal to 0. So if you find our values of t, so t plus 2 plus t minus 12 is equal to 0, that means the first one can be equal to 0, or the second one can be equal to 0. So we can find the number possibility between them. T plus 2 is equal to 0. We can subtract 2 to the both sides in order to isolate the t term. We get negative 2 is equal to 2 and a negative 2 we're going to cancel out. We get t is equal to negative 2. This is our first number possibility. Second number possibility is t minus 12 is equal to 0. All you have to do is add 12 to the both sides in order to isolate the t terms. Then we will gonna get t is equal to 12. And there are two number possibilities where t is equal to negative 2 or t is equal to 12. But if you think about our time property, the time should always be equal to a positive value because the negative time never exists. So we can remove our negative 2 from our answer, and our total answer will going to be 12. And that means after 12 seconds from the 120 meters up from the ground, so there is a ball in the 120 meters from the sky, and it goes down to the ground right over here. And here height will going to be 120 meters, and it is going to the 50 meters per second, and the answer was after 12 seconds. So we're going to take 12 seconds from the ball from the 120 meters from the height sky to reach to the ground, which the height is equal to 0.